beginning session 3. And just to recap a little bit, you all had the overview of early level experiences and outcomes. And one of the things that I said to you was, as the sessions go on, and you look down that first column, listening and talking, what you're now going to be able to do is fit your understanding of developing children's language in a much more practical, activity-based way to each of these. So in session 3 today, we're going to really explore the areas of finding and using information. So I'm going to share with you an approach to non-fiction texts. And I mentioned very briefly that non-fiction had been the poor relation in many, many practices. The emphasis had been on story, had been on fiction, had been on those kind of understandings. But what I'm going to demonstrate today is that non-fiction and fiction can be linked together usefully and will increase children's ability to think critically, because that's the next element: understanding, analysing and evaluating. Right? To help me understand stories and other texts, I ask questions and link what I am learning with what I already know. And then we're going to look at creating texts with the children and how to go about that. Okay, so if we are thinking about non-fiction, one of the first things that we really need to do is create opportunities for the children to distinguish between fiction and non-fiction books. And you're valuing their access to non-fiction will help enormously. Let me just read something to you. This is a lady who's talking about her career choice. Reading non-fiction with a child can set you both on a new journey of discovery and exploration that the child may end up leading. And how empowering is that for you or the young person? This is a lady called Nicola Davies, and she's now a zoologist, an author, a TV producer and a presenter. So one of the things I'm really putting to you is that by giving children that chance to explore their real world and the ways in which it works, you're opening doors for future interests, hobbies, careers, and that's what we want. So let's look at the first activity then, in terms of distinguishing between fiction and non-fiction. Be ready to simply put down a mixture of books. And as I was saying before, start small. So what I would be doing is popping down some fiction and then adding some non-fiction, and just having that conversation with the children, opening the books, giving them an understanding of the content, and then saying, which one tells you about something in the real world, something that's happening, something that you can come up against or experience. Okay? So we've got a story about a boy who loved everybody, and a story about a new child coming in to a street. And then we're looking at going to school and everyone being welcome at this school. All right? So what you want then is for the children to pick out fiction and the non-fiction, and then start to build up their ability to sort. So starting with 3, you could move on to 5 books, and eventually you can go to the book corner in your setting and ask the children, can you give me a book that is about the real world that we call non-fiction, and a book that's a storybook, because that's what you really want. You want them to have that appreciation. Okay. The next thing I want to talk to you about in terms of non-fiction is your book choice. Right. So you can have books that are about the same topic. So we've got wild animals, tigers, elephants, lions, jungle animals, wild animals. What you want to be able to do is look at the book, because remembering, we know our books before we share them, and look at what they can offer the children. So, let's say we've been talking about monkeys, right? We want to know more about monkeys, and we've got these books on the shelf. Lions, chimpanzees, giraffes, crocodiles. What would be helpful if we only wanted to know about monkeys? What's missing from this kind of book that we would like the children to understand? Okay, we're looking for information about monkeys. What would help?
An index.
Exactly. You have won the coconut. Yes, yes. What we really want to start doing at this very early stage is helping them to be the reading boss. That they don't have to go through a whole book to find the page or the information that they're interested in. We want to have contents so that you are demonstrating, modelling that with all inquiry, with all activities in terms of research, you can find keywords, contents, and as you said, an index. But you as the leaders have to use the books that will demonstrate that. So, in terms of this, we would be going to page 20, chimpanzees. And I can't emphasize enough how you are laying the foundations for the world that these young people are going to be living in. The world of Google, Wikipedia, the key words, names and phrases, and you're taking them through that. And you are illustrating to them that they do not need to waste their time. Okay, so a non-fiction book like this, we have both contents and we have index. All right, that's what you're looking for. Okay. In terms of ABC and Beyond, it tells you that you are going to help the children to be the reading boss. And every situation that you can, you remind them that you are going to be looking for information and sources of information that they are interested in. Okay? So in terms of that, let's say the topic of mini beasts had come up. And again, we want them to have ownership. We've got our contents. I'm going to read the contents to the children, and they can direct our research if there's something within the contents that they're interested in knowing more about. So, shall we find out about what is a mini beast? Or are you interested in creepy crawlies? What do mini beasts eat? Home and habitats where they live. And I'll not elaborate too much, but I would be reading through the contents of a book like this and saying, what shall we find out? Right? Because again, I'm not imposing that questioning, I'm not imposing that interest. I and the children, I'm the responsive partner, the children are going to direct the conversation. Okay, so go. Now, I'm using a set of notes that will be available to you, because I want you to know that all of my presentations, I may have said this to you before, but all my presentations are going to be available for you to download if you want to look over this session today. You'll be able to do that online. Okay, so following the children's lead by linking to their own knowledge and understanding is the next step. And what we're going to look at is what's called KWFL. What do I know or think I know is the K. What do I know already or think I know? The W is what would you like to know, which is what I'm demonstrating. The F is where will you find out? And the L is what have you learned? KWFL. Now, by using that approach with the children, what you're going to find is that you're again laying the foundations for all future educational research and project work. So let's start with a story. And I'm going to use Penguin as my fiction starter, right? And then I'm going to link the fiction with the non-fiction. Here we go. Okay. Today, we're going to have a lovely story about a present. And the main character in this story is a boy called Ben. It's Ben's birthday. And he has a box that's all wrapped up. And he's very excited. What do you look like when you're excited? Can you show me? My turn. Your turn. He's so excited. He's going to open the box and find out what's inside. Let's see what's inside. Do you know, I think you might be able to guess. If the story is called Penguin, what do you think? What might be in the box? Ah, penguin. Yeah, I think you're right. Let's see. Ben ripped open his present. Inside was a penguin. Yes. Hello, penguin, said Ben. I wonder if Ben thought he'd get an answer. What shall we play, said Ben. Uh-oh. Penguin said nothing. Nothing. Let's say that. My turn. Penguin said nothing. Your turn.
Penguin said nothing.
Nothing. Can't you talk? Said Ben. My turn. Penguin said nothing. Your turn.
Penguin said nothing.
Nothing. Oh dear. Oh, can you show me your tickling fingers? Let me see them. Have you got them ready? Yeah? Ben tickled penguin. Let's use a funny tickling voice, shall we? That's it. Here we go. My turn. Ben tickled penguin. Your turn.
Ben tickled
Penguin, yes. Penguin didn't laugh. Ben pulled his funniest face for Penguin. Are you ready for my funniest face? I think I look a bit like a penguin. Penguin didn't laugh. Ben put on a happy hat and sang a silly song. I think we might know a silly song to sing. This is where you'll choose your own silly song. Mine is about a worm at the bottom of my garden, whose name is Wiggly Woo. Do we know the song? Yes. And sang a silly song and did a dizzy dance. And of course, we can all do a dizzy dance, can't we? Absolutely. Maybe not just now. Your turn. My turn first. Penguin said nothing. Your turn.
Penguin said
Nothing. Nothing. Oh, Ben. Will you talk to me if I stand on my head, said Ben. Penguin didn't say a word. Now, I think I need to ask you a question. Remember, Ben was so excited. He thought he had someone to play with, someone to sing with, someone to dance with. How do you think he's feeling now? I've got my big ideas box. Let's see, can anyone tell me how they think Ben is feeling now?
sad.
Oh, you think Ben is feeling sad? Right, so I'm going to write that down and put it in a big ideas box. You think he's feeling sad. Does anyone else think he's got another way of feeling, a different way?
Angry.
You think he's feeling angry. Let's find out. Oh, let's see. Ben prodded Penguin and blew a raspberry at Penguin. Oh, Penguin said nothing. So I'm just pushing you on to get your response. Ben made fun of Penguin. Call yourself a penguin? Penguin said nothing. Could we imitate penguins? I think we could. What would we do? Yes, So Ben ignored Penguin, and Penguin ignored Ben. Let's think now. Was Ben sad? What do you think?
He's more angry, wasn't he?
There we are. I think he was angry. I think so. Oh, he must have been. Let's get Penguin. So Ben sent Penguin into outer space. Countdown. Our it, everyone. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Wasn't that a good count? And Penguin came back to Earth without a word. But he still didn't talk. Would Ben still be angry? What do you think? I think so too. So it gets much worse. Ben tried to feed Penguin to a passing lion. Penguin said nothing. Lion didn't want to eat Penguin. Oh, all those feathers in his mouth. Ben got upset. Oh, ah, ee, oh, ah. Can we say that? Oh, ah, ee, oh, ah. Penguin still said nothing. And then he shouted, "Say something!" Big loud voice. Are you ready? You're going to be Ben now. Are you ready? My turn. Say something. Your turn.
Say something.
Yes. Say. Uh-oh. He was so loud. The lion ate Ben. He ate Ben for being too noisy. And there are Ben's legs. Oh my goodness. And he licked his paws. But Penguin bit Lion very hard on the nose. And "Ow!" said Lion. "Wow!" said Ben. And Penguin said, "I came in a present for Ben. Ben took me out and wanted me to talk. He wore a funny hat. He stood on his head. He sent me off into outer space. Then he tried to feed me to a lion, but the lion ate Ben. I nipped the lion's nose, and Ben came back again." What is wonderful about this book and this book choice is that there you have the third read, where the child is able, through the character, to tell the story in their own words. Right, so there's our foundation storybook. Okay, so we've had opportunity, my turn, your turn, conversations, think out loud. We've talked about presents. We've talked about feelings. Now we're going to talk about penguins. Over to you. What do you know or think you know about penguins? On you go. So I want you now to think about gathering all those conversations. Now, the reason I'm including what we think we know is that our young people are going to be and are in a world where information is coming at them from every source, every angle. Much of the information is not fact, it's opinion. It's what someone thinks. And yourselves, myself, and they in particular are going to have to become critical thinkers. And that means they're going to have to question where the information has come from, who has given them that information, the sources, whether that source is valid or not. In media, when you're looking at advertising and things like that, they are going to be exposed to. There is a reason that that advert or that information is coming at them. There is a money gain. They are going to have that flexibility in their thinking to understand that they can, by research, think one thing to begin with, change their mind when they come across facts. Okay? So it's that critical thinking, that analysing, evaluating, understanding that all sources are not good sources. Okay? Does that make sense? Because you all are experiencing social media, you're experiencing comment, people giving their opinion about events, and we have to help our young people to move from what they think they know to what they need to know or want to know. Okay? So here is our floor book, and we start our floor book about penguins. Here's what we think we know. Here's what we think they look like. Here's where we think they live. All right? And now, the next step is, what would you like to know? What do you want to know about penguins? All right? And this is again where you are the responsive partner. So you assist those conversations with the children. If, as we were generating over here, we thought they lived in Antarctica, right? So that's good. We looked at what Antarctica might look like, and we generated some language. Ice, melting. If there's ice, what might it feel like? Cold? Not just cold, and I'm pushing on the language. It could be freezing, right? So, in our conversations, we are helping the children to formulate their area of research. Do they want to know what penguins eat? Do they want to know who looks after baby? How baby comes about? What kind of animal it is? So we then have, again, ownership of the learning with the children. So what we know, think we know, what we want to know. Right? And then, when we have all of that, where will we find out? And that's where you can manage to head that learning towards the right sources. All right, so this is where, from our fiction, we're going to go into the link with non-fiction. So we generated our questions, And I'm activating the listening by saying to the children, you thought Antarctica, you thought ice, melting, you thought cold, we thought there are different types of penguin in our conversation. Let's find out, right? So again, the children are listening to hear something that they have already indicated. This book is called The Emperor's Egg. And we talked about penguins hatching from eggs. And there is a baby penguin, a chick, looking out from underneath the parent. Go. Down at the very bottom of the world, there's a huge island that's almost completely covered in snow. And again, some of the children may, or I may have extended the conversation to include that word. So where there's ice, there might also be snow. Ah, covered in snow and ice. Well done, that's what you thought. It's called Antarctica. There you are. You were thinking that it was Antarctica. Well done. And it's the coldest, windiest place on Earth. The weather's bad enough there in summer, but in winter it's really horrible. It's hard to imagine anything actually living there. But wait, what's that shape over there? It can't be. Yes! What do we think it might be? What have we been talking about?
Penguin.
It's a
Penguin.
penguin, of course. It's not just any old penguin either. It's a male emperor penguin, the biggest penguin in the world. And when we were talking, you were talking about a different kind of penguin. Could you tell us its name, please?
A gentoo.
A gentoo penguin. And of course, the emperor penguin is the biggest penguin in the world. So the gentoo will be much
Smaller.
good,
Good girl.
good girl. Well done.
I'll take it.
And he's doing a very important job. He's looking after his egg. He didn't lay it, of course. His mate, the mummy penguin, did that a few weeks ago. But very soon afterwards, she turned round and waddled off to the sea and left the egg with the daddy penguin. That's where female penguins spend most of the winter, swimming about, getting as fat as they can, eating as much as they can, and generally having a very nice time, as far as you can tell. While Daddy is left to be stuck on the ice with his egg. Now, the most important thing about egg sitting is stopping your egg from getting cold. Now, you see where I'm going with this, all right? So, what we've done is we've started an area of interest. We're linking our fiction and non-fiction. We've generated the children's interest and ownership. And now we're looking for sources of information to answer their questions. Where could we also go when we've come across the daddy penguin looking after the egg. What's available in terms of media? Absolutely. Do not be wary of, for this kind of purpose, using the Blue Planet. It is absolutely their world. Their world is media, and it gives you choice between the print and the visual. The same level of comprehension will be built around the interaction that you have. That's the difference. You have set the scene. You've generated the interest. They have that vocabulary. They're asking their questions. They're now looking at their sources. Right? They're not passively sitting in front of a screen. And you have that opportunity to talk about how the film is made, who is making the film. You can talk about all of that, the way in which the information is presented. Okay. So we have know, want to know, find out in our floor book, because we can record what we found out. We can have the children drawing, talking. You can record them in pictures. Then the last part of this is, what have we learned? So at the end of this process, again you're back into that conversation with the children. What have you learned? And then you're recording what they're saying about their own learning. I learned that penguins live in the coldest place on earth, the coldest, windiest place on earth. I've learned that Daddy Penguin looks after the egg while Mummy Penguin goes off and fishes and eats. So these are the things, you know, that is where we can link that learning with the non-fiction and fiction. So let me just give you one more example. And I'll tell you another, before I go on to that, another wonderful thing is that you learn with the children. If you actually do this kind of research with the children, you're learning all the time, because it's something that I have experienced, and the children love it when you tell them that you're having the same experience as they are. Now we're going to get into your handout, and I am trying to find the book I'm going to use with you. No, it's not there.
No, it's over on this table, I think.
It is. You're absolutely correct. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so this is our foundation book, and it's called The Runaway Pea. And the Runaway Pea has all sorts of phonological awareness and the use of phonics that you can utilise. It also has mathematical concepts, because we're looking at 3D shape. What shape is a pea? A sphere, absolutely. And spheres roll, and other shapes do not. So we can be doing a little bit of exploration there. But let's start with the runaway pea. Here we go. It's 6 o'clock, and we're ready for tea. But look, what's that? It's a runaway pea. Boing! incredible force and then slipped and went splat in a puddle of sauce. The carrots and beans were all laughing with glee. You didn't get far, you piddling pea. Just watch, said the pea, I've hardly begun. I might only be small, but I want to have fun. The pea shot away with a skip and a hop. Then into the dog bowl he fell with a plop. Climb, little pea, climb up the side, quick, before Boris's mouth opens wide. The runaway pea jumped amazingly high and so nearly landed in Boris's eye. He rolled along Boris's back in a flash, but a flick of the tail sent him flipping off. Splash! Where am I, he wondered. His head really hurt. Get out of my tank, said Adele with a squirt. He fell on a mousetrap, which snapped with a bang and bounced off a cobweb that stretched and went twang. He came to a rest on a high, dusty shelf. So far, so good, smiled the pea to himself. Surely there's nothing else left to go wrong. Then a fan started up and it blew him along. And what's that below with an orangey glow? It's a spot in the top of the toaster. Oh no! In the pea fell, unable to stop. Then the toaster pinged up with an almighty pop. Ow! Cried the pea, my bottom's on fire. And he flew straight on into the tumbling dryer. Buffeted and battered and bounced all around. The pea was so glad when he finally got out. He collapsed on a shirt that had newly been washed. Look out, little pea, or you're going to get squashed. Under the fridge, to a dark, sticky hole. Too weary to move, he just let out a groan, then got a strange feeling he wasn't alone. Out of the gloom came mysterious shapes, a dried-up banana and 2 mouldy grapes. Oh dear, said the pea, what happened to you? We were naughty, they said. We all ran away too. We don't recommend it, they whimpered quite sadly. You'll get old and wrinkled and start to smell badly. I've changed my mind, said the runaway pea. I'll get back on that plate and be ready for tea. You won't, said the grapes, 'cause you've been on the floor. Runaway pea, you're not loved anymore. The little pea trembled. He knew it was true. There was nowhere to go, for him nothing to do. Helpless and hopeless and feeling forlorn, his tired eyes closed and he gave a big yawn. But a magic thing happened while he was asleep. He woke up beside the recycling heap. The soil was soft and the weather was sunny, and soon the pea started to feel a bit funny. Under the ground, he was sprouting some roots, and out of his top, he was shooting some shoots. The shoots all had pods, and inside every one was a party of peas, all bursting with fun. So if you should ever hear popping or splat, or a splosh in the sink, or a yow from the cat, or a rappity tap in the cupboard, then please don't panic. It's only those runaway peas. And there they are. Now then, let's look at your handout. So what I've done here is I've taken that platform and I've used it so that you can think about critical thinking and moving from the very basic remembering all the way up to what we call hot thinking, which is to analyse, to evaluate and create. And we talked about delivering story and delivering the ABC and beyond. And what we're needing to do before we come to the children, we need to decide on how we're going to open it, talk to the children about what's going to happen, think about our sparkle words, think about the character setting. Remember Caspar, character setting, problem, action and resolution. So I'm taking you through what I've done with this book so it can be used as a template for you to use with other books. So let's look at the runaway pea. And when I was working on it, here are my remembering questions, all right? Very simple, very straightforward. What colour is the runaway pea? What colours are the carrots, the chips, etc.? So you can go through that colour palette on the plate. Can you name all the food on the plate? What animals did the pea meet in the story? Fish? A dog? Anyone else? Another animal? Did they meet a cat? but well done for thinking about it. So now, what you're going to see throughout this is that I'm going to give you a question starter. So when we're looking at remembering, we've got to identify, name, count, repeat. I mean, in terms of count, how many bears were there in the story of Goldilocks? How many pigs in the Three Little Pigs? Repeat and recall, all right? Now, work in your group. There's my remembering questions, all right? Think of another one that would sit there, all right? Identify, name, count, repeat or recall. Have a go and write your question underneath those.